All right, we're in house with Coach Steve Smith. And Coach, last week you guys coming off a big victory versus Weaver, 63-20. One step closer again to hosting a playoff game. Right. We'll get into that in a little bit, but before we get into that, let's talk about this Weaver football game you had last weekend.
Got off to a great start. We were up 28-0 there in the latter part of the first quarter. Defense was really good in the beginning. Special teams were great for us, like they have been. With all our kickoffs were touchbacks. We were starting on the 20 for Weaver was starting on the 20, and we were getting great field position. We had a long touchdown pass on our first possession, the Bo Kill goal on the second play. Somewhere there we blocked a punt and was able to take over deep in their territory, get a short field touchdown. Had a pick six. Justice Jones, freshman, intercepted the pass, run it back for a touchdown. Had everything going our way, and then they hit about a 10-yard hook pass and broke two tackles and went for a touchdown. 28-7, we scored again. They scored on about a 60-yard touchdown pass. It was 35-14. We scored and they scored again. It was 42-20 early in the second quarter.
Wow.
They had hit us for three long plays, about 60-plus yards. We just had some breakdowns there on the defensive side. Played pretty good on the defensive side, aside from the big plays again. And then we were able to get a couple touchdowns there. It's 56-20 at halftime. We scored once in the third quarter on our first drive, and we had a running clock in the fourth quarter. And got some of the younger guys in there, but it was kind of a track meet there for a while there in the late first and early second quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, I know you get some coachable moments out of that too. Guys breaking the tackles that third, but being able to get some guys in, getting some meaningful reps, how important was that heading into these playoffs?
Oh, it's huge, because most teams this time of the year, very few people are still starting the same 22 guys they were starting week one. You've had some minor injuries, you've had some people maybe beat somebody else out. But just trying to build the depth, and now that we don't have any more JV games, we really use those JV games on Monday night. They're important to us to get more reps for people, and we found 3 or 4 guys this year that were JV players, pretty much JV only guys there in the beginning, and now have worked their ways into some meaningful roles on Friday night, which is exactly what we hope to accomplish with the JV schedule. I've yet to figure out why people are not as big as we are on playing the JV schedule, because those reps that those guys get, you're able to build that depth. So that if you do we had a couple of injuries in the trying game, that we've had a couple of defensive starters that have missed the last 2 weeks, but we felt very confident in the guys that we put in their place because they had been building up those meaningful moments during the JV games, and then they transfer that over. Jackson Cloud's been at outside backer for us the last 2 weeks, and Cash Standridge has played at nose guard for us the last 2 weeks, and that's 2 big holes in our defense with Jake Haney and Jackson Rice. But those 2 guys, I really feel like the Monday night preparation that they were getting and getting in a few of the blowout games earlier in the year prepared them for being able to step in that role. Every coach likes to say next man up, but you really have to do things and be intentional on finding ways to get those guys reps so that when that number does get called, that they are ready to step up. And very proud of Jackson and for Cash and the job that they've done filling in the last couple of weeks. We're hoping to get our injured guys back here at either week 10 or the first round of the playoffs.
You and your staff's done a really good job of getting not only depth, but you don't start nobody both ways, correct?
Right.
But then also you got depth at those positions. So that's extremely important when it comes to a war of attrition coming down the stretch of the playoffs.
Well, and most times in small schools you don't find people with that luxury. We made a conscious decision, and it's not necessarily, I would imagine if you ask us as offensive coaches and defensive coaches to pick 11 offense, 11 defensive guys, there would probably be some crossover guys that each side would take. I look at Brody Blevins, our quarterback. He is an outstanding safety. He was starting safety for us as a freshman. It would be hard to keep a Jake Haney off the offensive line just because of the passion he plays with, But I think our coaches and our players have really bought into the idea that when you're not playing 100 snaps a game, you're playing 50, and that guy that's playing against you is playing 50 offense and 50 defense. Every now and then you run up against somebody that might be a little better than your guy one-on-one, but I've seen very few people that should be able to beat two of your guys.
That's
him
right.
playing 100 snaps and your two guys playing 50 apiece.
That's right.
The toll that physical football takes on you over the course of 4 quarters, typically that guy's trying to play 100 snaps is going to wear down a little quicker than your two guys that are playing 50 apiece. And that's kind of what we wanted to do ever since we got here. Not popular with the old school daddies and stuff that still believe in the Iron Man football, but you got the same 11 play offense, defense, and all the special teams. But when you do get in a situation like we hit at Trine where Jake went out, when we come back the next week getting ready to play against J.B. Pennington, we weren't looking to replace a guy on offense and on defense.
That's right.
We were just looking to replace a defensive guy, and we got a guy that was getting those reps on Monday night in the JV at the JV level. Is he Jake Haney? No, there's not many Jake Haneys out there.
Correct.
But I do think that the experience and the intentionality that we had of trying to build depth didn't make it as big of a blow as what it could have been had we been, hanging our hat just on Jake, and especially if we'd been hanging our hat on him as a nose guard and as an offensive lineman.
That's right.
And I look at it like this: those 9 games that we played so far, those 3 offensive linemen that started for the first time this year. Then the way I look at it, they've almost got a season under their belt.
Correct.
They're almost the next year older now. I mean, you think about next year, they're not going to have hardly any more experience at the beginning of the year next year than they've got right now. So
That's right.
Feel very confident about the guys that we got playing, feel confident about the guys that we've got behind them. Feel like our depth is a luxury that we have. So it's something that has panned out good for us.
And the beautiful part about it is sometimes all the way up to 4, and I've even seen it over into 5. That guy may be special teams. Just 3 positions
right.
you have to replace. And then,
Right.
and what about the coaching they're getting on the sidelines by their unit coaches?
Yeah, exactly.
That's another thing.
It is. It's a big thing, and we've got some offensive and defensive starters, obviously, that play on special teams. But we've probably got 5 more guys that don't start offense, don't start defense, but they play the majority of the special teams. And so, again, that's huge. It's huge that we get through grading the film, and a lot of times we'll have 30 kids that play 10 or more snaps on offense or defense, and then you might have 5 more that have played 10 snaps of special teams,
That's
So
awesome.
on a Friday night, when you're able to play 35 guys against great opponents or against average opponents or against bad opponents, whenever you're able to play, I always tell the kids, when we get to a point where I don't mind putting you in and playing regardless of the situation, regardless of the opponent, then that means you really earned your stripes for varsity football, and
Makes sense.
every coach will tell you they've got these guys, they'll roll them out there against anybody. Then they got these guys that they'll roll them out there against everybody but this team, or this team. Then they got guys that I'll roll them out there, but it needs to be the game's out of hand type deal, So I always kind of to tell that to the kids as a compliment when you get to the point where, we're not replacing you just because we're playing for the region championship or something, then that means that there's confidence there in you, and you've proven that by how you've worked at practice and how you've played in the JV games or whatever. So it is a bit refreshing to see 4 or 5 of those JV guys at the beginning of the year that are now contributing on varsity Friday nights.
That means they've grown up as players.
That's right.
Probably physically and mentally.
No doubt.
No doubt. Now, this week, Coach, we talked about it off camera. It's pretty simple for you. You've got to win to be hosting a playoff game.
Yep.
And if you lose, you're 4th.
And as good of a season as it's been to this point, I've been trying to caution everybody against this. Everybody's been saying ever since the Piedmont game, y'all going to be second, you're going to be second. And I've tried to warn people all along. We play one game at a time. We play the next opponent. That's the biggest game is the next game because it's the next game. All those things, and we preached it. I still think we had people that left Weaver the other night that thought, hey, we're hosting a first-round playoff game. I've tried to tell them, that is not the case. It's not the case. So it's pretty clear cut, Last year we got to this point we had to win, and we had to hope that J.B. Pennington beat Weaver to have a chance to get out of that tie. Well, this year it's pretty simple. We beat Wellborn, we're the number 2 team, and we will host that playoff game that everybody's been wanting to talk about for the last 6 weeks. We don't beat Wellborn, we're going to be 4th in the region. We're going to be traveling to a region champion in the first round. It's pretty clear cut.
That's it.
Pretty easy to see, and I'm not sure everybody else understands that or sees that, but I do.
Yeah.
And and that's what I've told our guys. This is the Super Bowl this week at Westbrook. They think it's been intense. They think it's been fiery. They think it's been focused up until now. Well, now's the time to go out and get it done.
Yeah.
And this is the playoffs. And the way I look at it, the playoffs start next week. We are in the playoffs, but our playoffs start this week because this game is of vital importance to be able to set yourself up for the best chance possible to play again the next week. And anybody will tell you they'd rather be at home than getting on the bus and riding 3 hours to a playoff game.
You better believe that. So the other portion of it, Coach, that I know that you're a big fan of is you control it. You ain't got to wait for J.B. Pennington to beat somebody or nothing like that.
100%.
Talk about the importance of that.
Well, it's what we talked about at the end of the year last year. We used last year as a teaching point to our kids. We finished 6-4, 4-4 in the region, tied for third place with 4 other teams. It was a 5-way tie, and we were one of the 3 teams that didn't get in due to tiebreakers. But the thing that I tried to emphasize to them is week 8 we lost to Pennington, week 9 we lost to Weaver. Both those teams were in that tie just like we were, and Weaver was one of the ones that made the playoffs. All we had to do last year was win either one of those games. If we win both those games, we would have been talking about possibly being second in the region.
Wow.
But we lost week 8 on the road. We lost week 9 at home on the last play of the game. We didn't get it done. And then we go into week 10, and we played one of our better games of the year last year against Wellborn, week 10. And they were in a must-win last year. If they would have won, they'd have been in. They wound up in the tie, and they didn't get in either. But, we played one of our better games of the year last year, week 10 at Wellborn. But we got done with the game and had to sit around and wait and see what happened in Weaver-Pennington game. That was miserable, having to sit there and pull for Pennington to take care of Weaver, because we had an opportunity to take care of Weaver the week before and just didn't get it done. We had an opportunity to take care of Pennington the week before that and didn't get it done. So our motto all during our offseason was leave no doubt. Don't leave it up to nobody else.
That's right.
If you take care of business, leave no doubt. And I know our coaches probably get tired of us talking about playoff scenarios. You have to talk about it because that's what's in front of us, and we're going to mention it to our kids again today, just as a reminder. But, it's okay to be focused about it. It's okay to be nervous about it. It's okay to go out and play hard like your hair's on fire, because it's that important this week to be able to win this ball game. And we shouldn't even be talking about playoffs, because our whole playoff situation, complexion changes if we go out here and lay an egg this week.
That's right. What's funny is, a lot of people I'm with you on that. You'll hear people, they finished shows up. Well, David Parker's website, it don't have nobody listed y'all are playing right now.
No, and it shouldn't.
And, people don't realize that.
The other region,
yes, sir,
and 90% of your 8-team regions in the state are determined.
Correct.
There's a few of them, even though they have to go down to week 10 for tiebreaker purposes. But we're in a 9-team region as to where 8 of the teams in our region are playing a counting game this Friday night.
Yep.
So we're not only not finished because of potential tiebreakers. We're not finished because we're not through a region play.
That's right.
And a lot of regions, if you look on all them charts, everything in our region's in red right now, because there's nothing you can solidify and say they're the 1, they're the 2, they're the 3. As good as Piedmont's been this year, there's a scenario where they don't win the region. And that's mind-blowing to
region is, though.
I think the only thing you can say about our region, I'm pretty sure our 4 region playoff teams are confirmed. And so us Glencoe, Piedmont, and Wellborn, we know it. It just so happens that luck of the draw, Piedmont, Glencoe play this week, us Wellborn play this week. So us 4 are technically still trying to sort out who's 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right. And one thing about Coach Smith's team this year is they quietly has had a good season, man.
Yep.
Like behind the scenes, normally, I remember when Glencoe beat them earlier this year, a lot of people's seen that score and they thought it was supposed to be another way. That's what kind of respect they had, though.
Right.
But they've quietly got in these playoffs. They've kind of earned their way in here, and they're a dangerous team. Talk about them and what you've seen from them.
One thing that I did see on Coach Smith this year is a little different than the past. I've been one of the ones that said it. You always put them to play Wellborn as late in the year as possible. And people are like, well, why? So number one, the nature of ball that they play a physical, hard-nosed brand of ball. And any team that tries to play physical, if you're not a little bit banged up by week 10, you ain't playing hard enough the way I look at it.
I agree.
But, Coach Smith's still a believer in spring training. He still does a spring there in late April, early May. They still play a spring game against somebody. This year we went and watched them play a spring game, or I didn't go watch them. They played a spring game. I think it was the same night that we had a activity going on at the school. But I know they played a spring game this year. I can't remember, maybe against Cold Springs or something. I can't remember who it was. But they played a spring game. He's a big weight room guy. I know that he pushes them during the summer. And they do a lot of stuff at Wellborn during the summer. You're allowed to be on the field and run through plays and stuff like that. Or you can wear helmets. He does a lot of stuff with them in the summer. If you ever watch Wellborn play week 1, they're in mid-season form as far as that wing tee and the timing and stuff, But if you catch them at the end of the year, a lot of times you're catching them and they got some injuries. They're a little bit beat up. Yeah. They've been through a long season. This year, though, the number one thing I noticed when we did our scouting report on them, he's got one lineman that's playing on both sides of the ball. In the past, there'd been 3 or 4 of those linemen were playing both sides of the ball. And line is where you really understand the two-way players and the disadvantage sometimes it is if you're trying to play one guy both ways, because it's physical in there. On line scrimmage, it's physical. So if you can avoid playing your lineman on both sides, and he's done a really good job of that this year. And this year they come in this game 6-2. Instead, last year they were 5-3 after a 5-0 start.
Correct. I remember.
When we played them, they were 5-3, and they were kind of on a downhill turn because I think, just like what we talked about, I think it was attrition and just being tired. And this year he's done a much better job, in my opinion, of playing more guys and keeping them fresh. And I think they're playing a lot better ball at this time of the year this year than they were last year.
Yeah, I agree. And they've quietly, because some people like it kind of wrote them off, like in the media and all, just kind of didn't say nothing about them. I'm like, man, you get to look at their record though, and you're like, wait a minute. I
think I said they were 5-6-2. I think they must be 6-3 because I think they lost a non-region game to Heflin.
Okay.
In the middle of the year, but they lost the Glencoe game and they lost this past week to Piedmont.
The region is 2 though, right?
But in the region, they've only lost the Piedmont game and the Glencoe game. That's right.
So I mean, that's two playoff teams. So right. Still a very dangerous team, I'm sure.
No doubt.
You're about to tell you're about to walk right out of this room and go in there and tell those guys.
Our guys are going to think we're playing the Packers.
You get ready for Jordan Love.
Well, like I said, it's one of them things. You know, it's definitely not a time for us to rest on our accomplishments and read the newspapers. That's for sure.
That's right. Well, Coach, any other thing before we shut it down? Because I know you got to go get busy.
Just excited about it, man. Excited about being in the playoffs. Excited about the opportunities here at Westbrook. I think we got a lot of great things going on, Bo. We're very proud of our kids, proud of our coaching staff, our community, our administration. You know, we're all getting to go watch our volleyball team in the state tournament tomorrow. Cross-country team is, I think, one of the top-ranked teams in the North in 3A as far as team-wise. You know, just a lot of positive things going on here at our school. I think our cheerleaders have qualified for the state competition coming up.
That's good.
All the stuff that we got going on at the school right now, athletics-wise in the fall, all of them are doing well, and I'm very proud of that from the AD's perspective, but also glad to see these kids having some success, and just really excited about seeing, you know, where this road can take us.
But you've seen it in some of your previous stops, too, though. When you have a successful fall, that carries over.
It does. I mean,
it's a mindset.
It is a mindset, and you know, the morale at the school right now is really good. You got a lot of people pulling for each other. You got a lot of people wanting to see other people do good, which is what you're supposed to be at a school. And you know, it's just it's a good time right now to be a Westbrook Warrior. And the Warriors they're coming in droves tomorrow. They've shut the school down, haven't they? School is shut down tomorrow, so everybody that wants to go watch our volleyball team in the Elite Eight has that chance tomorrow. So I'm excited. Ain't that awesome? It is. Coach, I appreciate you sitting in with us. Thank you so much. Thank you.